This discussion will be a little shorter than usual, but don't worry, the message in this video is very clear and solid. Please make sure to share this video with all your closest family and friends, because this is very important to know. Okay, let's get started. During the Great Recession, Rahm Emanuel said, "You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that is an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before." That sounds eerily familiar to several statements from a cadre of global elites who are pushing for a World Economic Forum-led Great Reset in the wake of the Rona crisis. For example, while speaking at the World Economic Forum's rollout of the Great Reset earlier this year, Prince Charles said, "We have a golden opportunity to seize something good from this crisis. Its unprecedented shockwaves may well make people more receptive to big visions of change." His Royal Highness added, "As we move from rescue to recovery, we have a unique but rapidly shrinking window of opportunity to learn lessons and reset ourselves on a more sustainable path. It is an opportunity we have never had before and may never have again." Klaus Schwab, founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, put it more bluntly. "The Great Reset will require us to integrate all stakeholders of global society into a community of common interest, purpose, and action." In other words, Schwab and the so-called stakeholders of global society would like to use the Rona crisis and its aftermath to implement a new world order called the Great Reset. Before I continue the video, please give a like if you've learned something. And don't forget to subscribe and also click the notification bell too so you won't miss any update. And watch to the end to avoid misunderstanding. Thank you. So, what would this Great Reset entail? According to Schwab, the Great Reset agenda would have three main components. The first would steer the market toward fairer outcomes. Moreover, governments should implement long overdue reforms that promote more equitable outcomes. Depending on the country, these may include changes to wealth taxes, the withdrawal of fossil fuel subsidies, and new rules governing intellectual property, trade, and competition. Put another way, the Great Reset would usher in socialistic policies on a worldwide scale. The second component of a Great Reset agenda would ensure that investments advance shared goals, such as equality and sustainability. Rather than using these funds, as well as investments from private entities and pension funds, to fill cracks in the old system, we should use them to create a new one that is more resilient, equitable, and sustainable in the long run. This means, for example, building green urban infrastructure and creating incentives for industries to improve their track record on environmental, social, and governance ESG metrics. In this aspect, the Great Reset would ensure that corporations reorder their priorities from profits, growth, and innovation to meeting arbitrary, one-size-fits-all environmental, social, and governance metrics. The third and final priority of a Great Reset agenda is to harness the innovations of the Fourth Industrial Revolution to support the public good, especially by addressing health and social challenges. Although this sounds milquetoast, it empowers the global elites to determine the public good and therefore control the deployment of resources to address what they deem to be health and social challenges. If implemented, the Great Reset would change the world as we know it. American sovereignty would be undermined, as would personal freedom. And if you think this is a pie-in-the-sky fantasy with little chance of becoming reality, think again. A litany of prominent institutions and leaders have endorsed the Great Reset, including the United Nations, International Monetary Fund, World Bank, Greenpeace International, International Trade Union Confederation, McKinsey & Company, John Kerry, Al Gore, Jack Ma, etc. America's neighbor to the north is already on board. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau recently said, "Canada believes that a strong, coordinated response across the world and across sectors is essential. This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset. This is our chance to accelerate our pre-pandemic efforts to reimagine economic systems that actually address global challenges like extreme poverty, inequality, and climate change." Signs point to a hypothetical Biden administration being on board as well. Biden's Build Back Better plan is straight out of the Great Reset playbook. Moreover, many of his advisors and potential members of his staff have already voiced support for the Great Reset, including John Kerry, a longtime Biden ally and possible cabinet member. The Great Reset is here. It is happening. Only time will tell if it becomes the new world order or not. The agenda is primarily based around dismantling the current capitalist system in favor of greater centralized technocrat rule, which will lead to lower living standards, less fuel consumption, fewer civil liberties, and the accelerated automation of jobs. However, another key aspect to the Great Reset, or the Fourth Industrial Revolution as Schwab calls it, is merging man with machine. On Global Affairs, Schwab said, "What the Fourth Industrial Revolution will lead to is a fusion of our physical, digital and biological identity." Schwab went on to explain how his book, Shaping the Future of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, was particularly popular in China, South Korea and Japan, with the South Korean military alone purchasing 16,000 copies. In the book, Schwab explains with excitement how upcoming technology will allow authorities to intrude into the hitherto private space of our minds, reading our thoughts and influencing our behavior. He goes on to predict that this will provide an incentive for law enforcement to implement Minority Report-style pre-crime programs. Schwab writes, "As capabilities in this area improve, the temptation for law enforcement agencies and courts to use techniques to determine the likelihood of criminal activity, assess guilt, or even possibly retrieve memories directly from people's brains will increase. Even crossing a national border might one day involve a detailed brain scan to assess an individual's security risk." Schwab also waxes lyrical about the transhumanist utopian dream shared by all elitists, which will ultimately lead to the creation of human cyborgs. He writes, "Fourth Industrial Revolution technologies will not stop at becoming part of the physical world around us, they will become part of us. Indeed, some of us already feel that our smartphones have become an extension of ourselves. Today's external devices, from wearable computers to virtual reality headsets, will almost certainly become implantable in our bodies and brains." Schwab also openly endorses something the media still claims is solely a domain of discussion for conspiracy theorists, namely active implantable microchips that break the skin barrier of our bodies. The globalist hails the arrival of implanted devices that will likely also help to communicate thoughts normally expressed verbally through a built-in smartphone, and potentially unexpressed thoughts or moods by reading brain waves and other signals. So in other words, the fusion of our physical, digital and biological identity relates to the transhumanist singularity and a future where people have their every movement tracked and every thought read by an implantable microchip. It isn't a conspiracy theory when they're openly telling you what they want to do. Comment below with more topic ideas for me to discuss. As a lot of care and hard work goes into this, likes and subscribe, let me know I'm doing a good job. All is appreciated greatly. You may not agree with everything from the content I post. Apply critical thinking and use discernment to come to your own conclusions regarding the content. Thanks for watching this video. This Everything Inside Me channel, see you on the next video. Stay safe and healthy.